My name is Ashley, and I'm the head of adult services at the Pearl River Public Library. Welcome back to Book Talks with Ashley. Today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite books, actually one of my favorite series of books, because this is the first in a series of 4 books, and it's this one right here, The Diviners by Libba Bray. So like I said, this is the first in a series of books. The series is also called The Diviners. It is technically a young adult book, a young adult series, but I did not read it when I was a young adult. I read it as a adult, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It blends historical fiction and mystery with supernatural elements. So if that's kind of your thing, if you like supernaturally inspired books, maybe if you really liked like the Discovery of Witches series by Deborah Harkness, even though this one doesn't have witches and vampires, but it's kind of along the same veins. Like you might like this one too. So like I said, it's a young adult book, but that's fine. So it takes place in New York City in 1926. So that's kind of the historical aspects of it. And we meet our young ingenue, Evie O'Neill. And Evie is this teenage flapper girl. She's just very vivacious and maybe a bit too sparkly and glittery for her boring old small town. And Evie has a gift, a special gift, a supernatural gift. She can read by holding an object in her hand, somebody's, a personal object of someone. She can read the person's secrets through this object. So one night at a party, in her small town, she does this party trick of reading an object, and it kind of gets her into a little bit of trouble. So she gets shipped off by her parents to go live with her Uncle Will in New York City, which is probably not that big of a punishment, but whatever. She gets shipped off to New York City to go live with Uncle Will. Uncle Will is your kind of typical bachelor. He owns and operates a museum kind of dedicated to the occult and peculiar objects, and a museum that Evie has dubbed the Museum of the Creepy Crawlies. So when Evie gets to New York City, she encounters a kind of a cast of characters, and we meet them. There's Sam, he's this handsome pickpocket. There's Mabel, who she's reunited with, who's an old childhood friend. There's Jericho, who's the young assistant to Uncle Will, who works at the Museum of the Creepy Crawlies. And kind of another parallel story, we're meeting Memphis, who's a kind of young poet, and his young brother Isaiah. And of course, we're introduced to Theda, who is a chorus girl who's kind of trying to outrun her past. So we have this great cast of characters. And one night, Evie and Jericho accompany Uncle Will to the scene of a murder, as you would bring teenagers. But anyway, so Uncle Will's kind of called on by detectives to come to the scene of the murder, because it's, got all these like kind of symbols around the body, and it's a little bit occultish, and someone who works at the Museum of Creepy Crawlies might know what's going on. So accompanying Uncle Will to this murder scene kind of sets the course for all of our characters to come together and eventually try to investigate and find out what's going on with these very supernaturally tinged murders. So it's just a fantastic book. It's very atmospheric. It's got great characters. I said this like every single time, but this one especially is, if you listen to one audiobook in your entire life, like you only have one book, you can only choose one, choose this one. It's was recommended to me by my good friend as an audiobook, and she did not steer me wrong. It's narrated by a woman named January LaVoy, who is an actress and like an award-winning voice artist, and she just brings these characters and the story to life. Her different voices, like the accents, it's like, hey, I'm Sam the pickpocket. Like, I'm not even doing it justice, but it's so good. Like, I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed if you listen to this as an audio. Read it, that's great. But I feel like the audio narration takes this already great book and just puts it on another level. So that's my recommendation. So hopefully, if that kind of supernatural type infused books are your thing, you might want to check this one out here, The Diviners by Libba Bray. Always remember that even though the library is closed right now, you can find this title on Overdrive and the Libby app. So I hope everyone enjoys and be well. Thank you.